Just got back from Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Some history behind this franchise is the first one. I wasn't really too sure about it until I actually saw it, and it blew me away. One of my favorite movies of that year, and it's just a really fun take on the spy genre, especially with all the serious James Bond movies we're getting, and no Austin Powers to fill the gap. This movie, the first one, was a fun movie. It's exaggerating everything that was in the spy drama. If you haven't seen it, I highly suggest seeing it. It's a fun movie. This movie, I was thrilled to see it. Then the commercials started, and I was a little hesitant because I wasn't too sure about the inclusion of the Statesman. Because I want to watch Kingsman for Kingsman. I don't like when British shows or movies are Americanized. I feel like it takes something away from it. Black Mirror on Netflix did this with a few episodes. They just made it entirely American, and honestly, I don't watch these British television movies for Americans. I watch it for the British take of this aspect. Um, but I was excited nonetheless because the first one was good, and how much that was under the radar. So I went into this one pretty hyped, pretty positive. Hesitant a little because I was scared of that Channing Tatum and Jeff Bridges might kind of dull it down for me. And I have to say, if you wanted a fun action movie that has tons of jokes, tons of action, go see this movie. It's perfect for you. The action's great. The comedy is spot on. But I'm going to get into more details about why this movie did not live up to the hype for me. Even though I did enjoy this movie for what it was, I'm going to get into basically a 2 rating system. For a dumb summer fun movie, go see it. 9 out of 10. If you want to stick around and learn the things that I didn't like and maybe drag this movie down a little bit, then stick around. I'm going to start off by talking about the positive things about this movie. The acting by every character in this movie was great. The people who were in the previous one came back. They were just as good as the first one. All the new people were great in it. They were just playing, super spies, and they did the job well. It wasn't complicated Oscar-worthy acting. The action, like I said, was cool. It was fun. It's about a big spy action movie, so all the action scenes were great. And this movie was a lot funnier than I expected it to be. The first one was pretty funny, but I think this one had a little more laughs. It didn't, for me personally, it didn't go too over the top. There were a few gags that kind of dragged on a bit, and they did do the sequel thing where they hint back to jokes from the last movie, which I was like, good one. But other than that, it was a pretty funny movie. So now I'm going to talk about the things I didn't like about the movie, and this is going to be a majority of the video, and it's going to seem like I'm hating on the movie. But honestly, these are the problems that I had with it. Starting off with the villain. Julianne Moore plays the villain, and no spoilers giving anything away here but when I talk about negative things about this movie. She just wasn't very good. For a sequel, you want a better villain than the first one. The first one had Samuel L. Jackson, and he was great at it. He was one of my favorite Samuel L. Jackson roles because he wasn't playing himself. This movie with Julianne Moore in it, she was kind of just on the sidelines for the majority of it. You never see her with the Kingsman or really confronting anybody until the end of the movie, which kind of distanced itself. And I found her whole thing just kind of And this kind of has to go into the plot, and I'm not going to give any away, like I said. But the plot to me was really poor. It was weak. Just her whole plan was kind of nonsensical. Like, it doesn't really make sense when I was thinking about it after I saw the movie. She sets it up as she kind of wants to go home, but she can't because of things, but it just doesn't work. There was way too much bad green screen. I can forgive a movie with bad CGI, but there were CGI dogs and a robotic arm, which were really good, and some other CGI spots that were good. But there were scenes where the CGI background was just poor. There's a scene with a girl in a photo booth, or not a photo booth, a phone booth, and you can see she's in the phone booth. She's literally in the phone booth. That's real. But then they put her on this backdrop uh, it just looks messy, and just the backgrounds all look foggy a little bit. And it made me wonder, why not just take the phone booth outside and film it? It was really, I didn't understand why they made the choices with the CGI, specifically the green screen backgrounds like they did. It was really messy, and it kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. So in the first movie, all the action scenes, they did this thing, and if you saw the first movie, there's the church scene where the camera pans in and out of the action, and you're swinging around, and it's going all over the place, and it's really cool for that scene. But this movie does it 10 times more, and it really bogs down the action. So the camera work and the action, it gets a little too much. There's constantly, like, if they're fighting an action scene, there's constantly like this, so they can edit it, and things are getting closer to the camera. Do you like that? Does this annoy you yet? Yeah, well, that's pretty much every action scene, because they have to integrate it to make it look like it's all one shot when it's not. And it's okay to have edits in action scenes. It works. And if you're gonna do this thing in every action scene, it gets old. So I thought it was really just watching an action scene, and you just have to go, okay, one second. Okay, I'm back in the action. I'll watch it. And it gets tiring to watch sometimes. So it's more style over substance, and it hurt the film. Also, Colin Firth is brought back in this movie. The trailers spoiled it. I'm tired of saying trailers ruin movies for me, but it's kind of true. But I accepted it, whatever. He's back in the movie. But the problem is, he was the best part of Kingsman 1. And he does nothing in this movie. They don't give him anything to do. His whole story could have been its own movie itself if you work on some plot points. This movie, it's a subplot, and they really just have it in there just to have a subplot. Another problem with this movie is all the characters are given way too much to do. Everyone has a subplot. Everyone has a story. It gets to the point where you're trying to pay attention to all these subplots with the main plot, and there's just too much. You're not Pulp Fiction. You're a sci-fi, fiction spy parody movie type thing. So it got a little too much. But my main complaint that I cannot forgive this movie for is it goes full sequel-esque on us. And there are some characters who die in this movie. I won't say who. There are some new ones that die, and some people from the first movie that die. And the way they kill them off is typical sequel nonsense. I hated it. Some of the deaths were not deserved at all. They brought some of these characters back, and then they just kill them. And it was like, oh, why'd they have to die? And the whole time I was waiting for another character to come back and be like, oh, wait, I escaped that. You know, the whole bombing of the Kingsman things? Yeah, it kind of involves that. And I was waiting for some of these characters to come back, but they never did. And that worries me that a third movie is going to come out, and then these people are going to come back and be like, oh, look, I'm alive again. But come on, man. You did it once with Colin Firth because he was the best part of Kingsman 1, and people wanted him back. I was excited to have him back, but they didn't give him anything to do. But man, it goes full sequel bait with killing off some characters. The whole movie of the first one, you're building up and you're finding out the lore and the meta of Kingsman, and then this second one just wipes it all away. And I don't like that when sequels do that sort of thing. And I think the statesmen in this movie, it was too heavily focused on them a little bit. I wanted to see Kingsman. Like I said before, I want British spy movie. That's what I wanted to see in this movie. And it just got a little too heavy on Americanized and sequels and stupid camera work. But I mean, it does sound like I'm ranting on about this movie, but man, I wanted this movie to be so good. I wanted this movie to be better than the first one. But in my opinion, it's not. The first movie, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. It's a damn good movie. One of my favorites of the year it came out. This movie, though, falls under too many cliches for sequels. Forgive me, it's like 3 in the morning. Weak villain, which was disappointing. Too many subplots that go nowhere. And it, to me, doesn't really stay true to the original with being like a British spy movie. They tried to Americanize it and brought her on, blah, 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 blah. And I can go into detail and spoilers with plot points of things that just don't work in the movie, but they just do it anyway. Kingsman's all ridiculous no matter what, but this movie takes the level of ridiculousness Kingsman 1 set up and amplifies it to an 11. And it's just a little... it's not contained enough. So, final verdict. I did shit on this movie a lot. But I did have fun. I did enjoy it. The action was fine with me. Besides the camera work like this, it's going to drive my focus crazy, I know it. And the funny scenes, to me, were funny. There were a lot of funny moments. Some humor didn't land, but I'll admit it. I had fun with this movie. I had a blast. So if you want nothing more than a dumb, fun action movie, go see it. Seriously, it's fun. But if you're looking for something along the lines of the original and you're expecting like a better version, you're going to be disappointed. The original's much better. This one, to me, I'm struggling here. I'm going to give it a rating of a low 7. And that's me being generous. Maybe a 6. No, you know what? I was debating it. I did have fun with the movie, and I do have to throw that in my rating system. So no matter how many people are shitting on this movie and all my problems with it, I did have fun. It was a good enough time for me. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. If you want more action from the first one, go see it. It's fun, funny, actiony. If you're expecting better, wait till DVD. Alright, everybody, that's my movie review for Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.